Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Not RV. On this week's episode, I'm going to talk to you guys about cooking in the RV. Real quick, before we get started, if you want to learn more and make less mistakes while RVing, be sure to hit that subscribe button because that's what this channel is all about. I constantly see on all the different Facebook groups people wondering what else they can cook in an RV. Some people are just stuck to just a few recipes, it seems like, and that's all they do is just those few things when they're on their weekend trips. So I wanted to give you guys one of my recipes and one thing that I cook. And I see all these things all the time about different people wanting to share different recipes, but no one ever shares them really on video. So I figured I'd give it a shot and see if you guys like it. If you do, maybe we'll do some more of these down the road. But first things first, let's see how you guys react to this first one. So today I'm going to walk you guys through how I cook my ribs. It's one of my favorite dishes that I cook. It's relatively simple. It's really not that difficult. So let's get right to it. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get your oven preheated, and everyone's oven is a little bit different, but I'm going to go ahead and get mine preheated to 350. Alright, so now it's set to 350. I also have a little temperature monitor inside my oven. I know a lot of people don't like cooking with their RV ovens. We've not really had a problem with it. We bake cookies in here, we bake all sorts of things. I make the ribs in here, partially. It also goes on the grill. You guys will see that later. But having a little temperature monitor really makes a difference of how accurate the temperature is inside the oven. So I have it set to 350. Let that do its thing. Now, the other thing you're going to need is obviously ribs, number one. Okay, you're gonna need a container to cook the ribs in, which this is a little makeshift aluminum container, but those little cooking baking sheets that are throwaway, whatever you use, it's gonna get real sticky and nasty. So I like to just do something that's easy and just throw away. I'm not gonna bother cleaning it. I use brown sugar, garlic powder, salt and pepper, and adobo. Now you can use whatever you want. If you like a little bit spicier of a rib or a different flavor, feel free to mix it up whatever you want. I'm just showing you how I make mine. So first thing we do is we make this into a little bit of a rub. So let's get a Ziploc. Another little trick, I'm not sure if any of you guys know about this, but a marshmallow inside your brown sugar helps to prevent it from clumping up together. As you can tell, I don't have an exact science to how I do this. I do this a little bit different every single time. But you just want your dry rub here to be able to cover all your ribs. So right now I'm just making one single rack for Erica and I. And so I know I don't really need all that much. This is going to be more than enough to cover everything. So got my brown sugar in here. Let's get some garlic powder. And sometimes the way I like to think about it when I'm adding this stuff is, if I were to actually have the ribs laid out and I were to just sprinkle them on it like I were to a steak, that's about how much I use inside this little rub. So I do the same thing with the salt. I kind of think about how many times I have to go up and down, one side and then the back side. And that should be plenty of salt. Same thing with our black pepper. And lastly, our adobo, which apparently was preloaded to make a mess. All right, so now that I have that all in a little baggie, I go ahead and just mix it up. I found a marshmallow in here. Didn't realize that there was two of them inside there. Now, obviously, because I already have a lot of salt and pepper, I'm just going to throw that marshmallow away. All right, now everything's nice and mixed together in here. I can go ahead and put this stuff away, and we'll get the ribs out and get those seasoned up. Now we're going to get the ribs inside this pan here, and obviously you can see that the ribs are much larger than the pan. So clearly I'm gonna have to cut the ribs in order for them to all fit in here. And yes, that is one of the downsides to cooking in an RV oven, is you can't fit the whole rack of ribs in there by itself. But that's okay, I'll just separate it to about what our portions would be for Erica and for myself, and fit it all inside this thing. It doesn't really matter, it can be stacked on top of each other. I'm gonna show you guys what it'll look like. Let's get that started. All right, so looking at the ribs and looking at my pan I got here, we're gonna go ahead and make a cut right in this area. So I find a spot in between a couple ribs. And now we're gonna try and get this to fit inside this pan in a semi-decent manner. Now I have my ribs inside here. Like I said, it doesn't matter that they're touching each other. It's gonna all cook relatively the same. So we're gonna take our mixture that we have, and we're just gonna start to kind of sprinkle it on here, giving about half for the one side and half for the other. Once it's on here, you want to give it a nice rub and really get it all in the meat. And now we flip it so we can do the other side. If you ever find yourself in the position that you've done this and then all of a sudden you don't have enough, don't panic. Just make some more. It'll be all right. Okay, that's pretty much it for the prep of the ribs. They're ready to get in the oven as soon as it's preheated. So let's take a peek and see where we're at. We're right at 350. So I'm going to get these in the oven. And now I'm going to set a timer for about 30 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, starting now. By the way, if you need more time, just say snooze when your timer is ringing and I'll add another 5 minutes.
Just in case you didn't know and you have echo. So now you know what you can do with that. All right, so in 30 minutes, I'm actually going to turn the heat down. Now, in an RV, or in my RV oven, the lowest this thing says is 300. What I do is I turn it as low as I possibly can with the flame still lit. Ideally, you want it like in between 225, 275 to really slow cook these things. So 30 minutes at 350, and then we're going to low and slow for about anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on how many ribs you have in there. Because I only have one rack, it's probably going to take about 2 hours. But generally, if we have 2 racks of ribs, we'll do 3 or 4 hours. So again, 350 for 30 minutes, and turn it down to in between 225, 275, whatever your oven can get down to, for another couple hours. 2 hours per rack of ribs. We'll go with that. And then we're going to go out to the grill. So we'll show you what that looks like here in a couple hours. So my timer just went off for 30 minutes. So now we're going to go ahead and come down here. And let's see if you guys can see that. So I like to, like I said, I turn it down as low as I possibly can. So what I do is I kind of peek at the flame, which I can see it from here. And I'll just turn it down just right to the edge. Yeah. So unfortunately right now the lowest it's letting me go is right at 300. There has been a couple times where I've been able to get it just a little bit below, but that's it. Anything below that and it starts to sputter, and we don't want that. So that's it for now. We're going to leave it set there, and I'm going to check the temperature here in a few minutes just to see where the temperature is at. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, and as you see, the ribs are looking good in there. But what I went ahead and did, like I said, is I turned that down, and you can see it's about 275. It's just under 300 degrees. And up here, it's actually set just below 300, because like I said, anytime I move it past that, the flame goes out. So that's as low as my oven will go. But just put it as low as your oven will go. As long as you can go from 225 to 275, you'll be all right. All right, so now that the ribs are sitting at their low temperature, we're gonna let that go for about another hour and a half, because they've already been in there for 30 minutes. Technically, I started back at 3 o'clock, so I'm actually just gonna wait and check on them at 5 o'clock and see if they're ready to move on to the grill. It's coming up on 5 o'clock, so we need to go ahead and get the grill preheated. So let me show you what that looks like. So for preheating this grill, what we're gonna do is turn it on to a medium-ish area. Let's get it lit, and we're gonna turn it right down here. Every grill is obviously gonna be different, so you're gonna have to kind of figure out your own thing with your grill. But these rack ribs is gonna fit on here just fine on one side, so I don't need to worry about the other. So let's go inside and get these ribs. All right, so it's 5 o'clock. It's been 2 hours. The ribs are ready to move outside to the grill. So we're gonna go ahead and get these out of here. Turn that off. We're gonna go ahead and get these on the grill. And again, the grill is set to about medium right now. You don't want it too hot, but our point right now is basically to get a nice sear on the outside and to just get that nice grill flavor going. So now we got the ribs out here. We're gonna go ahead and get my cooking spray. Now I'm gonna take my ribs and get them right on the grill. All right, so now that I got the ribs on the grill, I like to check them and flip them about every 10 minutes for 30 minutes, and you're gonna see what that's gonna look like. And then that last little bit, we actually do 5 minutes and we put barbecue sauce in between. So it's 10 on one side, 10 on the other. Then when we flip them, we're gonna put barbecue sauce, let them sit for 5 minutes, flip it again, 5 minutes with barbecue sauce, and then we're ready to pull off. So let's see how that looks here in a little bit. All right, we're ready for our first flip. It's been 10 minutes. Let's see how these babies look. Oh yeah. I'm actually gonna go ahead and turn the heat down all the way. So it's nice and low and slow. Now we got a nice char on this side. It's gonna heat up that other side pretty quick, and then the heat will cut down. And we'll report back in another 10 minutes. While we're waiting on the ribs to be flipped outside, we're going to show you, we're going to make some cornbread. We just need 1/3 cup of milk, 1 egg, and we get the Jiffy from Walmart. It's like 50 cents, I think, at the store. So I already poured that in there. Get our egg in. Milk in, and mix. Also, the oven needs to be preheated to, I think it's 400 degrees, but whatever your box is. But yeah, mine says 400 degrees. This is an easy thing, goes really good with pretty much anything barbecue. All right, now we got all mixed up. We're gonna go ahead and take our little dish, which these we get at the dollar store. I think it's like 3 for $1. They're the loaf pan. We use them for a lot of different things. This is just really basic, really simple stuff. I think we are preheated. We're gonna go ahead and pop this in. And that's that. I believe the box says about 15 minutes for that to be in there, but we're gonna check it here in a little bit. All right, I just got the cornbread in the oven. It's time to flip these one more time. All right, now we're gonna go get the barbecue sauce, and I'll show you how we put it on here. All right, so for barbecue sauce, I like to use Sweet Baby Ray's personally, but just use your favorite sauce. Just give it a nice baste. All right, that's that. 5 minutes, and then we're gonna flip them. All right, so barbecue sauce been on there for 5 minutes, so we're gonna get these flipped. Five minutes. Time to take these off and get them inside. Gorgeous. All right, so the ribs are in. We're kind of pressed for time, but I wanted to get some cooked carrots going. So I got the carrots in here. Let's get some butter going. Lid on here. I have it on a medium heat just because we're kind of pressed for time, but you can easily cook this on a medium-low heat. There's 100 different ways to cook carrots, obviously. I'm not trying to get too much into detail on that. We're going to do a little bit of a sweet route tonight, so we're going to do some brown sugar and honey. But first, let's make sure that these are cooking right, and we're getting some good butter across all the carrots. We're doing good. And while that's going, I'm going to cut the ribs up. When you're cutting these ribs, you're going to want a super sharp knife. I personally don't like doing any sawing back and forth because you'll end up just tearing the meat all off the bone. It can be a little difficult because there's a lot of cartilage in there, but I just press down and give it a little rock back and forth, and there comes the next one. First, let me just apologize. I just realized that my lens has been extremely dirty this whole time, so I'm sorry about the quality of the video up till this point. Hopefully now you can see me a little bit better, because apparently it might not have been so clear. But we're almost done here. We've added a little bit of water in the carrots just to keep them from burning. And I believe my cornbread is about done. So we're going to get a toothpick. We're going to check it. Alright, it is good. Basically, if you don't know what the toothpick method is, but if it comes out moist and with stuff on it, batter on it, it's obviously not done. If it comes out dry, then they're done. So to check and make sure your carrots are done, you do kind of just like you do with potatoes. You kind of want to check their firmness. Now obviously this is a non-stick pan, so I got to be real careful with a metal fork, but just pressing it into it, I can see how soft or firm the carrot is, and you cook them to how you like them. Some people like them a little bit more al dente, a little more crunchy, and some people like them a little more soft. We're kind of right in the middle, more on the al dente side, so I think we're about done with these, so let's get to the next part. So once I saw that the carrots were pretty much done cooking, I turned it all the way down to low here, and now we're going to go ahead and get this seasoned up. We're going to do just a little bit of honey, and a little bit of brown sugar. We don't really like to cook with a whole lot of butter. I did kind of put a little bit too much in here at the beginning, but that's okay. But do what you like, do what's best for you and your family. And again, this is just making them sweet, using the brown sugar and the honey, but there's 1,000 different ways to do carrots. And if you guys like these videos, we'll keep doing them, and maybe I'll show you some different ways to do them down the road. All right, so our carrots are completely done now. Just go ahead and set these off to the side, and we're gonna go ahead and make our plates. That's pretty much it. That's it for this week's episode. We appreciate you watching. Like I said, if you guys like these kinds of videos, we can do more in the future. This was just one of my favorite recipes that I like to cook, is the ribs. So again, be sure to subscribe, drop a comment below, click the little like button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.